It looks like it. I'm not sure if it is or not. Can you tell, David?
I don't see the recording is started.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. All right. So for today's agenda, we'll settle in. We're going to go through partner updates. So I would love for each of you to be thinking about, what are your recent wins for equitable climate action and resilience? Or even just what are you working on that's relevant to this whole process that you guys have been invested in with us for the past year? Are you doing something interesting that you'd like to share? Basically, just kind of a coming back together. We haven't met for a couple months, so we'd love to see your faces and hear your updates. So for the review portion of the meeting, we'll briefly go over where we've been, and then we'll have a discussion about the elements of the plan and the strategy and subcomponent information that we've been developing. Then we have an exercise that Brianne came up with that we did on Monday with the environment group, and it was pretty fun. A discussion. What's your pitch if you were to go in front of city council to get these pieces adopted? And then we'll just wrap it up a little early. So the objectives for today are to hear your updates and your questions, comments on the planning process, and provide input on the deliverables that we are generating, and to go through the outline that we've put together of the plan to hear what you have, what you think might be missing, what's more important than something else, just your thoughts. And then, of course, help create the content, why this is so important, kind of the context of what we're putting together in a deliverable form. I'm not going to go through those ground rules. You're all very familiar. We're a great group here. But on this partner updates page, if you have access to the slide deck and you want to type directly onto those sticky notes, feel free. Otherwise, I would love for you to speak up and share with the group what you've been up to. Bill, should I call on you first?
Why are you going to do that? All right,
you've got good stuff to share.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Nickerson. I am a residential energy auditor, and I did have a little bit of exciting news to share with Dawn and Brianne about. My work comes with at names and addresses of people that are looking to have their house energy audited for prospective energy efficient increases. These are funded through Dominion Powers, funded through nonprofits, and I work for a couple of nonprofits. But recently, I've actually acquired a client list directly from Dominion Power, and I was discussing that with Dawn and Brianne, and hopefully they could get together and merge, and something in the residential energy efficiency genre could come about it, something, because sometimes there are programs out there that mimic the same thing and they don't know each other. They're working in silos, and I was just hoping that I might become a link for this group and Dominion Power. And I was wondering what everybody thought of that.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Bill, this is Andrew Grigsby. That sounds great. The more we can maximize all available resources, that's what, there's a lot out there currently funded that needs, right now there's a Dominion efficiency program stakeholder meeting going on, so I'm kind of double tasking here, but what they were just talking about is the that they need to do better marketing. Which is all to say that there's a general need for public awareness about resources that are out there, whether they are rebates from Dominion or low-income weatherization programs through DHCD. Those two programs actually have a ton of money to spend today to do improvements in homes and businesses, and people just need to take advantage of it. So we need to kind of, shout that from the rooftops.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. I was on that meeting too. And I clicked off right before for this. So appreciate you keeping in touch. And do you want to speak to Solarize, the Solarize campaign?
Well, in partnership with City of Richmond and Henrico County, we've been running our Solarize RVA campaign the last since March, and we've talked to a lot of people. We haven't done a whole lot of installs, but we're still out there sharing the word about what makes for a smart solar installation. This is primarily residential, but we talk to anyone, and in that process, we've also certainly engaged people about home energy audits as well, which is really where most folks need to start, as at least as a companion to going solar on their homes. So we have Viridian, that's what we do, is try and get these services out there.
Awesome. Thank you. How many installs did we end up with in Richmond Solar?
For 2021, to date, 4.
Okay.
But there may be a few more before the year's end, if we're lucky.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other shares?
Hey, good morning, Dawn. This is Joe. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Okay. I don't have anything directly. However, I have been working behind the scenes here at the Housing Authority. Our real estate division really is the group that's doing the redevelopment effort here and the remodeling effort with the properties. So I have been in contact with them, and they've had several meetings with the mayor, and I have reminded them on several occasions that whatever we're talking to the mayor about, we need to make sure we're embracing the RVAgreen 2050. So I know those guys are aware of it, and I think it has come up in our conversations with the mayor's team. Secondly, the Housing Authority is involved in, by rule, every so often we have to do a 5-year physical needs assessment. And I will be talking directly to the consultants we're using to do that study. And, I will be, stressing these initiatives in anything we're planning to, upgrade, remodel, change out. So I do hope to have those discussions. And then I think when we last met, we had talked a little bit about maybe getting our finance team who tracks our utility cost to connect with, I think it was the city school board who is doing the tracking the utilities and doing some modeling of carbon emissions and so forth, greenhouse emissions. So not a lot of movement, but there is some momentum here.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we need. Just keeping the conversation going and making these strategies a priority in all of our work. Excellent. Thank you so much.
That we are doing. That we are doing.
Great. Any other updates?
I can do an update.
Great.
Yeah. I'm Damian Pitt at VCU Urban Regional Planning Program. I have something on the personal note and professional note. Personally, I was one of the Solarize customers for an energy audit, which Andrew performed and gave a lot of good recommendations that I'll likely be acting upon at some point. We also, I don't know, Andrew, are you counting me as one of the 4 solar clients?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we ended up, so we live in the museum district and recently got an electric vehicle, and prior to that acquired a garage, like one of the little like carriage houses that was kind of like in our alley, but not part of our property per se. And so we got solar put on the garage via the Solarize program. And so now we have a 100% solar powered electric vehicle, which I'm pretty excited about. I also have a second bay to rent out. So far, the market for rental space for electric vehicle charging is not that hot apparently, but hopefully one of these days someone will want to take advantage of that opportunity for solar powered charging station in the museum district. Now on the professional note, it's not really sort of climate related, but as many of you know, I was the chair of this Urban and Regional Studies and Planning program here at VCU for 3 years. And one of the major things that we had to do was go through a reaccreditation process. And we just got word back a couple of days ago that we got full reaccreditation for a 7-year term, which is the maximum that our accrediting body gives. And it's a big deal. Most universities don't get that. I'd like to point out that UVA only got a 5-year reaccreditation in their last process a couple months ago. So yeah, that's something we're really proud of. And I know we got at least one alum of our program on this call. So just wanted to share the news.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
I had one comment on the electric car. I heard an interesting tidbit today from Andrew Frieden, who's a meteorologist at Channel 12. He said that I think it's between midnight and 6 a.m. the entire power grid is generated by nuclear. So if you charge your car between those hours, there's 0 carbon emissions related to your driving.
Well, yeah, that's, I think his comment was that yesterday that was the case. I think we're not quite in the full heating season, and at which point I think we probably won't be 100% nuclear, in the middle of the night. But yeah, that was interesting. I saw that tweet, and it's an interesting point that you make to kind of tie that to EV charging.
To that point, the last time I looked at it, Dominion Energy was a summer peaking utility. So that may be more true in the summer, or maybe less true in the summer and more true in the winter. I don't know the subtlety of that, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Good stuff. Hey, Giovanni, thanks for joining us. We're just doing a round robin. Any updates that folks want to share of what they're working on outside of this group related to climate equity-centered climate action resilience work? We've heard some good stuff, and folks have been either speaking out loud or typing it on the slides or the sticky notes on slide 6. Anything else?
Yeah, maybe I'll elaborate a little bit on what I wrote. This is Michael. So VCU recently hired a sustainability director. The position had been vacant for a couple of years, and is now contracting with a external consulting firm to help us write our new sustainability plan, and we hope to start doing that in January. And one of the big elements is to make sure we coordinate with City of Richmond and partner so that, the stuff we're doing is part of what the city is doing. And I'm not actually sure how that works. And it seems like some of us who are very interested in this aren't sure how that works either. But, in addition to Daniel, I think there's about 4 faculty, and Daniel and me, I think there are about 4 people on the faculty at VCU who are interested in this topic, who are also part of the RVAgreen 2050 community groups. And seems like among us, I meant Damien, by the way, among us, we should be able to, help make this connection and go to each other's meetings or whatever to make sure that we're partnering. I could add a couple of personal notes as well. So I gave I give talks on climate and health, and I'm happy to do that anytime anybody asks. So I did one at a VCU climate crisis event. I'm also working with some of my colleagues to get the VCU Senate to declare a climate emergency like the City Council of Richmond did. Also interested in pressuring TIA-CREF to divest, that's the word I was looking for, divest from fossil fuels. A lot of universities have done that, have written to them to do that, and the pressure is increasing. They're pretty bad. If you look at all of their funds that they offer, they're heavily invested in fossil fuels, which is, they have $1 trillion, so it's a lot of money. And my wife is on the wait list for Rivian, Ford, F-150 Lightning, and Cybertruck to replace her Chevy Bolt with one of those. It's going to be a difficult decision which one, but we're excited to get a electric pickup truck when that happens. And just being on the wait list, we had an opportunity to buy Rivian shares. And, we're not big stock market people, but we put a little money in there. And I see it's down today, but they doubled since they hit the stock market on Tuesday. So, woohoo, go Rivian.
Awesome. That is so fun to hear. I have a friend who's also looking at, I think it's called the Lucid, and so staying up on all the different, stocks and everything.
Right.
And it's exciting to see this whole new market open up.
I bet there's somebody on here who invested in Tesla back when and still has shares. I'm not that person, but who knows?
Michael, could I ask real quick? Have you seen the Ford pickup electric concept that has the classic '70s body styling?
Oh no, I haven't. That must be.
I'll forward that to you.
Is that like a company that's taking them and making them electric?
No, it's Ford, and that's the concept, is go back to the old body style. I'll send you a link.
Oh, I've been following the F-150 Lightning stuff, but I didn't hear about that. So thanks.
Great stuff. I love this. And Michael, you brought up a beautiful point about partnering and aligning plans. We've been talking a lot about aligning our plans internally to other Richmond city planning processes and departmental, priorities, but our strategies are all about this whole accountability framework that we've been working on over the summer is all about how to identify those partnerships and align our work with the priorities of our partner stakeholders. So as we kind of get further into today's presentation, there's a few opportunities to enter some more thoughts, and definitely want to capture that and create a very clear approach towards working with our partners. I know on the waste pathway, there is a specific strategy around, partnering with institutions and identifying best practices so we can all kind of, figure out a way to move forward. But great point. Thank you.
I'd like to add one more thing. You always, it's been the RVAgreen 2050 policy, and you always make sure, Dawn, to say equitable in every sentence. I am completing a leadership certificate at VCU in diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a 5-course offering by their Center for Inclusive Excellence, and it's been really enlightening. I've certainly learned a ton. So I just think that we could all learn more about that, and I recommend people try and educate themselves more. It was long overdue for me.
Michael, what a humble statement, and I'm right there with you. I feel like the more I listen and learn, the more ignorant I realize I was. So, yeah, it's an individual, personal journey. Certainly don't have all the answers, but want to be part of listening and learning and doing what I can. So thank you for saying that. All right. great way to end the updates. If you have any more, feel free to, it looks like our slides are filling up, but please add some more, put your comments in. We love hearing this. We'll try to share this information as a follow-up. So let me launch into where we have been. You've seen this slide many times. We, got through the orange. We're really at the cusp of the adopt and implement piece. So we've been compiling all of your feedback and developing the draft strategies and next steps in the previous, since the last meeting. And so this meeting today is really going to inform the plan and the website that we are going to present publicly in the spring. So we'll meet again as a working group over the winter to show you the draft before it goes out to the public for comment period, as we did last year. And then once it comes back from the public engagement period, we will go for internal administrative approvals and then city council adoption next summer. So that's the timeline of where we are. The draft structure, we've talked through each of these components of the draft structure over the past year, and now internally we're just refining all of that content, and there is a lot. You guys have given us a lot to work with, but I think you'll be very pleased with what gets put together. So thank you to every one of you for being a part of this long process. So what we have been doing behind the scenes right now, and what we are doing behind the scenes, is to further develop each of the strategies with the components that you've helped us create. So just to remind you of what this equitable implementation and accountability framework looks like, we are refining and defining each one of those for each strategy and strategy action, and that's what's going to be going into the plan. So we're working on compiling that input from the last working group meeting to refine the outcomes and indicators, and just kind of wanted to remind you what those outcomes were. These are, at the end of this beautiful utopia that we create, this is what we expect to see in Richmond. So those are the outcomes. And then in terms of measuring progress, we certainly want to hold ourselves accountable through measurable indicators that we can report on. So we will have at least 2 indicators for each of the 12 outcomes. And for example, for the outcome of cleaner and more efficient buildings, the traditional indicator will be total building energy use in BTUs. And then our equity indicator will be % of households with high energy burden by race and ethnicity. So we're still, kind of finalizing all of those, but just to give you a sense of where we've landed on the actual metrics for the plan, that's where we are today. Okay, so let me pause for just a minute. Any questions on where we've been so far? Or where we are today? All right, so then this is where we're going. So along the way, we've been both traditional in our processes and trying to be very innovative and equitable. And so along those same lines, we are creating 2 deliverables. One is going to be a PDF online document that is useful for many purposes. It's going to have lots of content that can be used for grant proposals, for aligning with other plans, just kind of that traditional online document. And then the second one is a user-friendly and faster medium that's innovative and interactive. So it's going to be a website, and Brianna is taking the lead on that. So if you have any questions around that, she's the go-to person, but it's a work in progress. We're just kind of at the beginning phases of that, but just so you know, those are the 2 pieces that we're working towards. And so what we're also working on is what informs the plan. So we've been taking in the research and best practices from peer cities, the roundtable input, and your input, and that's going towards this 2030 action plan. And so what we're going to be talking about today is why it's so important to act now, what's the data that's going to go into each strategy, and what are the next steps.
Dawn, I wanted to pause because Jeff raised his hand.
Oh, thank you.
I just got a quick functional question as one of the RVA.gov editors. Is that interactive document going to be hosted on RVA.gov or a separate standalone website?
No, so good question. I'm working on this right now with the other editors, Jeff. So if you have any tips, let me know. But it will all be on RVA.gov. So we did talk to our Office of Public Information and Engagement about the capabilities of RVA.gov, and they're going to be working with us on making this what we envision it to be, which is very user-friendly and probably enhancing some of the current capabilities of the city's website. So
I just wanted to point out that Sam has some advanced training coming up. I'm going to one tomorrow. So if there's anything,
I'll see you there.
Good. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thanks for speaking up, Jeff. Excellent. Okay, so this is the draft outline. And I know it's a lot. I'm just going to kind of walk you through this high-level plan outline. So we have in blue, that's kind of the opening. You know, we'll talk about land stewardship acknowledgements, equity acknowledgements, you know, how the land got to us and how we are continuing that stewardship. And then the next section is how to read this. So a guide on how to read it, what the symbology means, information like if you only have 10 minutes, this is what you should jump to. Or if you are, you know, interested in just this neighborhood, go here. If you're interested in this topic, go here. Don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but sounds like a great idea. And we've seen other plans that have done this in some interesting ways. And then the context, of course, is the background, the vision, guiding principles, all those good things. The planning process is how we actually developed the plan. And then the biggest part is in red, that's section 11. That's the plan strategies. So Richmond 2030 with the pathways and objectives and strategies. And then the what's next part is the advocacy. What can I do? And as you were talking, Michael, I was thinking that that would be a good place for potentially, it might be better somewhere else, but you know, for those who want to either align their own plans with this or get involved in this, maybe that's where we would talk about that. And then the summary stuff is in gray. So those are, you know, lessons learned for city planning, methodologies on how we created each of the components like the equity screening tool, the data modeling, the risk assessment, all of those things. So that is the draft outline. And any questions or comments on that at this point? Great. All right, so now I'm going to jump to the draft mock-up. So this is not, these aren't final graphics. This is, it's going to go out for, we have some partners who are going to help us with this, but David has been really helpful to create something for us to respond to and react to. So this is the 5 pathways, and I'm going to show you some sample pages of what we're thinking in terms of the content for buildings and energy, the buildings and energy pathway, and a sample strategy. So this will be similar in both the online and PDF document. There will be some opening context that'll frame the pathway, and then the objectives will be listed underneath. And then on this one, each objective will then have a page with information about the objective, with objective language, the symbols or text to help us identify which outcomes are being supported by this objective. And then each objective will have the strategies obviously within them. So this is still kind of a work in progress, but this is what we're thinking in terms of the order and the kind of the scope of what will be included in this portion of the plan. And then for the strategy page specifically, let me just orient you to this page. So at the top, you have the strategy, municipal energy efficiency, develop a program to achieve the energy efficiency goals. And then under that, this context information that's currently in Greek. This is where we could use your help. We'll include information that could be helpful, like data or maps or research to show why that strategy is important. And then underneath there, where it says actions to be completed by 2030, those are the subcomponents, what we were calling subcomponents before, that were kind of rolled up into the strategies. So they have been listed there as actions. And then we will have a status. Each of those actions will have a status. It'll either be ongoing, ready to go, or facing obstacles. It will identify the city steward, which is the department separate from the Office of Sustainability. Obviously, we are going to be kind of the hub, helping to champion all of this, but there will be a city steward, another office in most cases, that will be actually implementing the strategies. And then the cost is a range. Those dollar signs, where we have some help with other volunteers who are doing, if you're interested in doing this, we would love your help, but kind of researching these ranges of what $1 sign, $2 signs, $3 signs might represent over the course of this, from now to 2030. Just for general planning purposes, it's nothing, it's just an estimate to kind of help frame our long-term planning. And then the time frame for now, we have it broken into two. Near term is like now to 2035, immediate budget planning. And then the far term would be 2026 to 2030. Let's see, and then the symbols demonstrate the impacts. So you've seen different iterations of this, and the engagement period last spring, and then over the summer, as we've been going through all of the prioritization. These are the, impacts towards greenhouse gas reductions. How much does this strategy reduce greenhouse gases? Does it have an impact on climate resilience? And then does it have an impact for our 7 community priorities that were identified through the equity screening tool? So let's see. I've gone through the context. We need to develop that language at the top. The actions, the components, the time frame, symbology, and then what's going to go into the appendix is the more developed accountability framework information that we did on that activity sheet, really pulling out next steps and funding and financing maps, all of that great, that kind of starter information that you helped us generate, that'll be included in the appendix. So this will kind of be a little easier, absorb, but for more information, there will be an appendix. So any questions at this point? Okay. So now we're going to go into discussion, and we'll go ahead and stay together. Want to hear you guys based on everything I just showed you, and I can flip back if you want to go look at any of those previous slides, but I want to hear, what information is most important or relevant to you. Is anything missing? What format or design would work best to communicate this information? We've given you, where we are, but it can all be improved upon. So we would love to hear your thoughts. So what's most important to you out of everything we just went through? If you were applying for a grant or aligning your own program, what do you think was most helpful? And on 24 and 25, if you'd rather just type in some notes, you can do that yourself, but would love for you to come off mute and share your reflections on what I just presented.
I'll kick it off real quick. I really appreciated the conversation at the beginning of this meeting with the updates and identifying that there's so many programs, and disparate isn't the right word, but if you're kind of a sustainability novice, it's hard to go out and find what those are. Is the advocacy, what can I do? Does that have the room to have a resident resource as a living document that can have all these different links as to literally, here's what you can do. You can call Mr. Grisby, you can call, how you can access it for yourself in addition to the citywide programs.
Yeah, that's a great question. And Brianne, if I could put you on the spot, I think some of that came from another plan that you saw and also some roundtable feedback. Do you want to share anything from the roundtable?
Yeah, I don't remember if it was from another city's plan, but when we presented the same content to the roundtable a few weeks ago, they provided the feedback that we should have something in here like a "what can I do to get involved" thing. And I think, Jeff, to your question, there's definitely room, and I think that would be part of the purpose of that section, is not just the city piece, but also what is outside in your community. And I feel like this will be something that we will keep updated via the website, web-based tool, in addition to having maybe a starting point or something like that in the document-based version, that the website will be where we do like updates annually or on some regular basis. We haven't figured it out yet, but that'll be linking out to like partner programs, other resources, things that, you all provide us links to, all of that. So I think the answer is yes, and we'll just figure out where it fits best.
Isn't there already a resources page on the sustainability website?
Yes, so we have a couple of different ones because of the situation with the city updating its website over the past few years. So on RVAgreen2050.com, we have our virtual resilience hub, which is a ton of resources organized by categories, and that'll probably be the starting point for more of a less advocacy and more of just what can I do in my day-to-day life at work, things like that to reduce emissions, be more resilient. And then this advocacy piece will be like, okay, I really like this citywide strategy that was identified as part of this process. How can me, my community, my neighborhood get behind this and see it implemented here or something like that? So both and, yeah.
Excellent, thank you. Any other thoughts on what you thought was most important in that plan outline or the strategy pages?
Don, this is Joe at Richmond Housing. I have a general question. I know that there's been talk about the mayor's commitment to, I think the number is establish 10,000 new units of low-income housing, and how committed in that process are we to, RVA Green 2050?